The Rhodesian nationalist leader, Bishop Abel Muzorewa, has accepted Mr. Smith's offer to negotiate an internal settlement based on one man, one vote. But, he says, there are conditions. These include stopping the execution of all captured prisoners of war, allowing Giro to take part in negotiations, being arrested.
What if I told you that one time back in the late 70s, an alien hijacked a British TV station for about 6 minutes? Yes, it obviously sounds like a hoax, but even so, it is a documented occurrence of a broadcast signal intrusion, and a significant one at that, happening years before the Max Headroom incident or even the Captain Midnight case. Here we have a story of one of the earliest broadcast intrusions, but also one of the most fascinating and mysterious cases, one that remains unsolved to this day as well, a much less covered and obscure hijacking, but still just as captivating. So what really happened on that station in England 45 years ago? Well, the date is November 26th, 1977. Southern Television was broadcasting in Southern England, UK. It's about 1710 UTC, or about 12:10 PM EST. A reporter from a network called ITN, Independent Television News, named Andrew Gardner, is discussing the recent conflicts at the time in the country of Rhodesia, a state that was unrecognized from 1965 to 1979, before it became what we know as Zimbabwe. Suddenly, the image became distorted. A low buzzing noise began to take over the audio, and the picture of Gardner began to wobble as a mysterious voice cut in.
This is the voice of Umar, representative of the Jahzzar Galactic Command, speaking to you. For many years you have seen us as lights in the skies. We speak to you now to say the things we have done to your brothers and sisters all over this, your planet Earth. We come to warn you of the destiny of your race and your world so that you may communicate to your fellow beings the course you must take to avoid the disaster which threatens your world and the beings on other worlds around you. This is in order that you may share in great awakening as the planet passes into a new age of Aquarius. The new age can be a time of great peace and evolution for your race, but only your rulers are made aware of the evil forces that can overshadow their judgments. Be still now, and rest, for your chance may not come again. All your weapons of evil must be removed. The time for conflict is now past, and the race of which you are a part may proceed to the higher stages of its evolution, if you show yourselves worthy to do this. You have but a short time to learn to live together in peace and goodwill. Small groups all over the planet are learning this, and exist to pass on the light of the dawning new age to you all. You are free to accept the protection teachings of those who learn to live.
Many go as wide as this, then they run out.
Spiritual evolution. Hear now the voice of Brilon, representative of the Jahzzar Galactic Command, speaking to you. Be aware also that there are many false prophets and guides at present operating on your world. They will suck your energy from you, the energy you call money, and will put it to evil ends, giving you worthless dross in return. But your divine self will protect you from this. You must learn to be sensitive to the voice within that can tell you what is true and what is learn to listen to the voice of truth which is within you.
It's such a
Lead yourself. This is our message.
I really appreciate understand that we can't fit in. I insist so delicious, full of so many really choice ingredients. I can.
People say that everyone
Cats have 9 lives.
have no fear. Keep on you to know yourself and discard the ways of mortality. Receive the Jahzzar galactic command and attention. Beyond the remaining days of your existence, may you be blessed by the supreme love and truthful values.
And after this speech was concluded, the broadcast returned to an episode of Looney Tunes. And that was it. The end of the transmission.
We understand that viewers in some parts of the region are receiving a breakthrough in sound. We're sorry about this, and we're doing our best to rectify the fault.
But what did his message even mean? Surely it's a hoax, but what is he even trying to say? Or is it truly a message from aliens, warning us against a path to a dismal and destructive future? Well, in the broadcast, we can of course hear the voice of Vrillin himself, an entity claiming to be an alien and a representative of the so-called Jahzzar Galactic Command, who he references as the lights in the sky, and that they have come in peace to warn humanity of the new age of Aquarius, a time of great peace and evolution for our race. He also warns us of weapons of evil, possibly nuclear weapons, and references money as energy. But what does it all mean? What's this new age of Aquarius? This great awakening, as he calls it? Who are the false prophets he's talking about? We can only speculate as to what he was trying to tell us. But there is another important thing to note about this case, because we don't really know for sure if this is actually the original audio or some sort of recreation, even though it's been circulating for quite some time. And as for the video, well, we have none. All the clips you've seen are from hoaxes or recreations, making this actually a piece of lost media and making this mystery so much harder to solve and investigate. It's hard to tell what really happened, to differentiate what is real, what are embellished facts, and what was just made up. See, it's not always remembered as just Vrillon, or Vrillin, but some people also remember Gillon, Gramaha, or even Asteron. They do still sound kind of similar, but it still makes you kind of question what's going on here. Still, the perpetrator has never been identified, and with the details so muddy and the evidence being lost media, it's unlikely we'll ever find out who did this, especially since it's such an old case. What we do know is the perpetrator or perpetrators were able to utilize a flaw in the broadcast system, as the Hannington transmitting station was rebroadcasting an off-air signal from the Roe Ridge transmitter, which was miles away on a nearby island. So the culprit was able to relatively easily overpower the signal and hijack it for an extended period of time, with a representative of Southern Television stating that whoever committed this hoax jammed the signal in the wilds of North Hampshire, utilizing a transmitter close to their own. And the UK's Independent Broadcasting Authority even stated that the hijacking would have required, quote, a considerable amount of technical know-how, which makes sense, because it's likely the case with jammings and hijackings like this that it's kind of an inside job, or at least someone that is familiar with television broadcasting, or possibly even works at said station that does it. I mean, how else would they know to use a separate nearby transmitter? Some have also pointed the blame at university students pulling a prank, or even university professors, but we're not any closer to finding out who it is today than they were back in 1977. Now, why would someone do this? Well, I guess it's a pretty funny prank, and it's similar to a few other cases in the past, most notably the War of the Worlds broadcast, which was an adaptation of the novel of the same name narrated by Orson Welles on radio in 1938. However, a lot of people actually believe that there was a real Martian invasion happening in the real world, which terrified many listeners. There weren't really any other crazy hoaxes like that back then, but in the more modern era, this kind of thing tends to happen. You've got zombie apocalypses, nuclear war, everything you can think of basically. So did War of the Worlds inspire this, and indirectly a lot of other later hoaxes, especially those involving the apocalypse and aliens? Possibly. But was this broadcast takeover by aliens real in this case? Probably not, unfortunately. But still, it's a fun, fascinating mystery and piece of lost media, where the story itself is really hard to look into because of how old and obscure it is, coupled with the myths, rumors, and falsified details spreading over the years, as well as the various hoaxes and recreations, and you don't know what is fiction and what's real, if any of it ever was to begin with.